Hey guys, alright, welcome to Tin Whistle Week 11 video. We only have this week and next week, so congratulations, you're almost there. For week 11, it's really not that bad. We're only learning 3 dynamics, and then we're just learning about rest, but it's pretty easy. I am looking at in our Foundations Guide, page 171 for week 11, Dynamics and Rest. And so they want you to review by looking at Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or Mary Had a Little Lamb, but if you know me by now, you know that I'm going to draw it out. I just think it's so classical for them to see this drawn week after week, and I think it's easier for the little ones too, because then they know exactly what they're looking at, exactly what you're talking about, and for the older ones, it makes it easier for them to draw too, watching you do it each week, and there's not always all the notes covered in those 2 songs, so I just like to draw it out. So we'll start off, obviously, with staff, and I need this for our lesson anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and draw this out. What is this? It's a staff, treble clef, time signature, and then we're going to draw some bar lines to make measures. And then go ahead, I'm not going to do it just for the sake of time for this video, because I need to use this for the rest of the lesson, but go ahead and draw your whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, dotted half notes, eighth notes, all of that in there, and then just talk about how many beats each of them get. If you have really little ones, just draw it out and just let them see you draw it again and hear it again. If they're older and you know they can get it, ask them what it is and see if they remember. Number 2, they want you to review by clapping Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or Mary Had a Little Lamb. So just clap the rhythm and sing the notes, and for the appropriate amount of time. And if you have really little ones, just do like a line of it, whatever they can handle. But Mary Had a Little Lamb is so easy for the journeyman and the masters to sing through the whole thing, so you can get through that, no problem. And then let's see, number 3, review the treble clef note name rhyme, which I'm sure you're all saying in your sleep by now, which is, when the note is on a line, every good boy does fine. When the note is on a space, it spells the word face. They should all know that by now. And then review any vocabulary that is not mastered. So you as a tutor, if there's anything where to this point they're still just not getting it, maybe just go over it one more time with them for that day so that they can really get a good handle on it. A little bit of extra, tiny bit of review there for them. And so number 5, we are talking about dynamics. So go ahead and read through that, and it's going to explain why dynamics are used. And then what I like to do is I like to actually use my voice in the way of the dynamics when I'm explaining it to them. So for example, for crescendo, it looks like a little, looks like this in music, but you don't have to draw that for them. That's when the music starts off softer and gets louder and louder and louder and louder. So what I like to do when I'm explaining this to them is I say crescendo, a gradual increase in the volume of music, and I get louder when I say it. And then I just explain to them what a crescendo is. And then for legato, those are, smoother notes. So what I read the definition of saying smooth, connected notes. And a lot of times I have them repeat that with me. Like we say smooth, connected notes for legato. And then staccato, they're very, very choppy. They're, separated, short, clear-cut notes. So I say staccato, disconnected, short, clear-cut notes. So I just like to use my voice to make that connection with them, and then I describe a little bit more about it after I do that. And then now we're getting into rest. So if you notice in like a previous video when we were talking about time signature, and so I said how there's always 4 beats in every measure. That is true, but that doesn't mean that you're playing for every measure. So I didn't want to cut ahead in the previous video, but now I can go ahead and talk about it. And so I would print out, like I have Amazing Grace for my class. I like to show them that there's a rest. So you're still getting the 4 beats in there. That still counts. You're just not playing for it, if that makes sense. Because sometimes there's a pause in the music, And it's not that we just stop, but the rhythm just stops. It has to keep going. We all have to stay together to play the song correctly. So it's just a rest that you're not playing, but the rhythm continues. So what's really cool about this is that you don't have to really learn too much new here, because just what they look like, because the whole rest is the same amount of beats as a whole note. The half rest is the same amount of beats as a half note, and so on. So we'll go through that now. So for the whole rest, looks just like this. It's a little rectangle on the bottom of this right here. So this you would rest for 4 beats, or 4. And the way that when we were little in music and stuff, and they wanted to help us remember this, they would talk about how the whole rest is stronger than the half rest, so it gets to hang off of the line because it's so strong. But the half rest is not as strong, so it has to sit on top of the line. It's only 2 beats. And then I think in your foundations guide it talks also about a nice little way to remember that is that half rest starts with H and hat starts with H. It's like a little top hat sitting there, which is also a cute way to remember it. I explain it to my class the way that I learned it, is that the whole rest is stronger and it can hang off of there. The half rest is not as strong, so it has to sit on top. It's kind of cute. So continuing with this, to finish off this measure, we could put like a little half note in there if your kids are older and they can understand that, you know, that 2 and 2 would be 4. Okay, so moving on to the quarter rest, which is I'm always so terrible at drawing this. So, like that for the quarter rest. So that's only going to get 1 beat. That just gets 1. And then the 8th rest, put a little dot like that, and then you kind of go like that. That's the 8th rest, which kind of has like a little flag thing, almost like the 8th note. So that's just for a half of a beat rest. So those are all the rests. It's pretty easy to remember because it's the same, all of the names, it's the same amount of beats as the names of the notes. Hope that makes sense. So then you want to move into tin whistle. So see, did I miss out anything? No, they're just wanting you to, okay, so each week remember to just go over the parts of the tin whistle when everybody gets to, when you say it's time to play the tin whistle and it's time to get it out, just make sure each week, as I always say in the videos, to go over each part. So mouthpiece, stipple, barrel, and finger holes. Then have them sit up straight, 45-degree angle, left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. And what they want you to do this week is play the left and right hand exercise just to kind of warm up, get you guys going, and play the D scale. If you have really tiny ones, which I did fill in last week for little ones, I just kind of like showed them each note, like this is a B, everybody play a B, and we all played it. Then we went through A. So if you have really tiny ones, just run them through the scale. Maybe go all the way down and all the way up. Just show them the note, because they have to take time to sit there and like find it, make sure their finger's on the right one, and then blow it. So you really can't go quickly with them. So I just go through each note, I say the name of it, and then we just blow it. If you have an older class that's doing really, really well with their tin whistles, then do the left hand and right hand exercise, do the scale, and then we're going to start working on the second line of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or Mary Had a Little Lamb if you choose to do that, which is easier for those smaller ones. And then it wants you to teach the first measure, then the second measure, and add it together, then teach the third measure, add that together. And then for those older ones that you want to play the whole line of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, if you learned the first line last week and the second line this week, you know the whole entire song, because the first line is the same as the third line. Those are the same. So you can say, congratulations, you know how to play the whole song, and you guys can run through that. Let's see, and then it says music theory connections. So take a chunk of that music and tell them that this part's going to be a crescendo. So maybe it would be like twinkle, twinkle, little star, like getting louder. Or you could do staccato where it's like twinkle, twinkle, little star. So add those 3 dynamics in there throughout the music. Maybe pick a measure and just tell them, like, we're going to play these notes staccato, and then just say it for them, and then have them practice it. Maybe even play it for them if you would like. So that's really it for that. Oh, and it says you can add rest to the tune too. If you want to do that. We have a piece of music that we play in our class that has a rest, because I have master's class that's done this for years, and they just need something a little more challenging than Twinkle Twinkle Little Star now. That's just old news to them. They've already memorized it. They're kind of done. So we have music that we play that have rests in it, but you could also add, maybe like do like a whole rest in Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, where it's like, okay, you know, like for 4 beats you're not going to play. That's a little more challenging. Don't do that if you have really tiny ones and it's just stressful enough to get through the first 2 lines. Don't worry about that. But it is really fun to play a measure or 2 and apply those dynamics to it. And I think that is it. Yep. The next part is week 12. So, which you guys will all be looking forward to, I'm sure. I'm sad when Tin Whistle is over, but I know a lot of tutors are happy about it. So, and then if you're using the packet that I made, week 11 is really, really easy. You are just drawing a whole rest and how many beats you rest for, just 4. So again, if you have really tiny ones, like 4 and 5-year-olds, just do this on the board with them. You draw it, have them draw it, write how many beats it gets, and they'll write, you know, like they'll write the number 4, they'll watch you do it. Just do this on the board with them. Just go over it with them. That you don't have to like wait and see if they know the answer and can do it themselves. Just go through it with them. And if you have a class like mine, a master's class where they know all of this, just tell them to draw each rest and write how many beats they rest for. And that is it. That is week 11. You are done. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, but it's pretty simple this week. You're almost there, so hang in there. We got 1 more week. All right, bye guys.